YodaDaWise here. We got a new commander. We have several new commanders, but we're only going to be going over one today. Her name is Leona. Let's check her out. All right, guys, this is Leona. All right, she is airship. She's supposed to be a powerhouse. Let's take a look at her skills. So her first skill, Soul Echo. It it's kind of like it's a stasis kind of effect. Best way to compare it, think of Elf's Curse, to where it triggers, it stays there as a not as a debuffer, but will once it's triggered, it does damage. We'll go over a replay just to see why I have an issue with how this thing triggers and what kind of makes it like not so good of a skill when it comes to when you're trying to one slot or be quick about something. Anyways, it has a 60% chance to trigger, goes up to 100% of the normal attack damage, eliminates soldiers of blank percent of the attacker's lost population in the next attack. And that's the thing though, when it says next attack, it's not the next slot that attacks. It's when you go through the entire 6-slot cycle and get to that slot again. And that's kind of the problem I have with it, and we'll see, we'll show you why. Second one is Glass Cannon. This one does damage to adjacent troops. So if you hit slot 2, it's going to hit 1, 5, and 3. And vice versa. If you hit 1, it's going to hit 2 and 4. So Glass Cannon can be a good tool when you're only having like a 2-slot march, or they're trying to hide troops behind a certain setup in terms of Galactic Campaign. But the biggest problem I have with Leona, she doesn't have an auto hit. If you don't have the jewels or the plug-in skill to give her that auto hit, I hope you have a lot of accuracy. She's going to rely on a lot of accuracy just to get that her skills to hit. But let's take a look at some replays and we'll go from there. So I actually I do enjoy having the simulator for these kind of things. Most of my guildmates pressed that button on the simulator for me. We're using Reinhardt. This one was the closest to the gear that I have. As you can see, we both lost quite a bit of the newest tier ethereals. I'll slow it down at some point just so you can see where each skill comes into play. And once again, you'll see a lot of if I have breakdown as the plugin skill here. If breakdown or Scorpio or light of Gemini doesn't go, she typically misses. And that's kind of important to where, a lot of the meta has gone right back to Reinhardt, and gonna have dodge, gonna have a ton of HP. We want to make sure that we're hitting him and doing damage when we're doing it. So let's watch the replay. We'll start at ×2 for now, just so you can get an idea here. There's a Glass Cannon, missed. Power Scorpio, Light of Gemini, Soul Echo. So see, here you see the stasis right here and the red arrows for the Soul Echo. That is not going to trigger until we come all the way back to slot 2. Now, the plus side is, as I continue to bombard this Reinhardt, it's going to stack up on this, and because it's dealt with the loss of troops, or how many troops have been lost before it triggers, and then it multiplies that. So now we're going to get to that one. And this is the problem here. This is what I'm saying. So a lot of people are using the A1 AI. Now it limits the amount of damage that's going to go on because you had to wait a whole entire round to get to trigger. So even though I did 140 million damage there, and that was with the soul trigger that should have gone off, that didn't, or soul echo that didn't go off. Maybe it did go off as I was trying to explain something else. But nonetheless, that soul echo is not going to go off until you get to this slot. And then when you have people running this particular AI with with Reinhardt, it's going to put that barrier shield on him that makes it even harder to do damage. Luckily, I'm still doing a lot of damage here. but it has nothing to do with the skills that she has in particular. It has more to do with just the gear that is being run with her. And that's the other damning part too, is that right here in the slot 6, missed against the Reinhardt, even though it probably would have done a good amount of damage. And it got all reflected back because of his skill. And there's another good example right there, as we saw in slot 1. Soul Echo can be resisted. It can be resisted. So I took another video, I took another sim where I mixed it up between the 3 new tier types. Honestly, Ethereals is probably going to be the best one for her. We'll go into that in just a moment. But the reason why I'd say the new ones, Ethereals, are the better usage here is because their main thing is just destruction. It's all crit. Everything's crit damage. To where the Cyan Shuttle is more of dodge and recovery, which they do a lot of attack too. And then the IBC or IPC one, the original new tier there, they're more accuracy. So you have more accuracy, dodge, and then crit damage. That's how they basically divide up. And that's to where with her, yeah, the IPC ones would probably be good too in terms of accuracy, but ultimately, Ethereal, the red ones in the back there on slots 5 and 6 are going to be the better ones for her. As you're kind of watching the video as I'm talking, you can see how each one is either hitting, not hitting, only hitting when a trigger or the breakdown skill or Scorpio or Light of Gemini is triggering. And you can also kind of see how this video, or this replay, I should say, does give a good example of what each one was because of his Reinhardt missing most of the time. So you were able to see a full march on each type of troop and what kind of damage they potentially do. I ultimately lose here just because he's able to break through the middle. That, my friends, pretty much wraps up Leona. I don't think she's going to be that big of a game changer, but I've been wrong before. A lot of it all depends on how you set her up. Even with the new gears, like the 7 Pirates didn't really recommend. They recommended the base stuff that we're used to right now, and I think that's because the new equipment wasn't out yet, but that's for another video. But your basic penetration setup, so we're Tanling, Alcade, and Terrace, Beetlejuice, or the Fire Spirit on the less advanced or less expensive. It's going to be your typical dev station helmet, Titans, armor of the Tyrant, and then once again, if you're able to get the Beetlejuice or the Fire Spirit, that's what's going to make it. I prefer the Fire Spirit because it's going to trigger all those skills a lot more, and her biggest downfall is she doesn't have an auto hit, and Soul Echo doesn't trigger enough, or I should say doesn't trigger fast enough after it's been set for it to be considered a greatest asset for her, especially as you saw with the AI1 AI bot. It almost kind of neglects everything by the time it gets to it because now you have all this added protection to Reinhardt in that first row. So take it how you want. You can see how it works for you. Run some simulations. I always encourage you guys to run your own simulations with your guild. But that pretty much wraps this one up. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. And once again, too, I do have a channel on Discord. You can find that in the description. I do have a calculator if you go into the announcements section of that Discord channel or server, sorry, for you to figure out how much penetration you have, how much SWE you need if someone's running a certain amount of RWE. That calculator link is a Google Doc. You download it, open it up in Excel. If you don't have Excel, you can always do it for free on Microsoft's website. And then you can plug in your numbers and know where you stand. All right. Until next time.